Every man feels it now, the invisible shift in the air when he looks at a woman and wonders if approaching her is worth detonating his entire life. There's a pressure behind the ribs you never admit. The tight jaw, the half-second hesitation that wasn't there years ago. And if you misread this truth even once, life hits you harder than any rejection ever could. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't some modern dating take. It's the reality men whisper about when no one else is listening. You know this already. The dating market didn't collapse because men became weaker. It collapsed because men finally became honest. Honest about risk, honest about reputation, honest about consequence. The room felt different all of a sudden. Somewhere along the way, men learned that a single misinterpreted moment can cost them their job, their freedom, their dignity, or the last piece of self-respect they've been protecting. And once you see that clearly, the urge to approach dies in your hands. Because if you're wrong now, the punishment is no longer emotional, it's existential. And here's the part most men never notice. This shift didn't happen overnight. It happened silently, gradually. One hostile reaction, one accusation, one public humiliation at a time, until men ran the numbers and realized the game was mathematically insane to play. But here's what no one tells you. There's a reason this truth hits you deeper than you expected. You've lived every single piece of it in your body before your mind learned how to articulate it. Notice how your chest tightened just now. That's the first sign you know this is you. There was a day, I don't even remember the exact one, when I approached someone with the same harmless intention men have had for generations. Nothing wild, nothing disrespectful, just human contact. And the reaction wasn't just no, it was cold, aggressive, defensive, like I had violated some invisible boundary I didn't even know existed. The room held its breath, and in that split second, something in me fractured. Not because of the rejection, but because of the accusation hiding behind her eyes. Why am I being treated like a threat? When did normal male behavior become criminal? I felt colder, but sharper. My fingers went still. The air around me thickened, and that's when the air shifted again. A realization struck me with surgical precision. If I reacted emotionally, I'd lose more than pride. I'd lose the last piece of belief I had in the idea that men and women still understood each other. Men didn't stop approaching because they fear women. Men stopped approaching because they fear the consequences of simply existing near them in the wrong context. And that's the micro-stake no one wants to acknowledge. If a man misreads one moment, he pays the price, not her. If she misreads, he still pays the price. The imbalance is exhausting, and right when I thought the moment was done, it wasn't. Because something inside me turned that day. A quiet, brutal understanding that the world had moved on without telling men the new rules. If you react wrong, you don't just embarrass yourself, you create an internal fracture that follows you for years. Modern women are approached constantly, even digitally. So your presence feels like an intrusion, not an opportunity. What you need to understand is this. Women today live in a dopamine storm. Their phones deliver more male attention in 1 hour than men received in entire months back in the 90s. You're not competing with the guy in the room. You're competing with 300 notifications from men who don't even need courage to try. The psychological effect is brutal. She's numb to pursuit. You're another ping in a universe full of pings. And the silence changed before the truth did. Her threshold for being impressed has become mathematically unreachable. If you ignore this, you get trapped chasing validation from someone who isn't even present in her own reality anymore. Approaching is now treated as suspicious, unless you're already pre-approved by her desire. This is the delayed tension reveal most men don't notice until too late. Attraction has become a prerequisite for basic human interaction. If she's not already interested, approaching her is creepy, weird, or invasive. Men feel this judgment before they hear it. They feel it in the tightening jaw, the slowed breath, the instinctive risk calculation happening behind the eyes. It's a pseudo-legal emotional environment where men must assume guilt until proven innocent. Ignore this and the cycle traps you into believing you're the problem instead of the culture. The Me Too era rewired male instincts. Approaching became a legal gamble, not a social act. This isn't bitterness, this is pattern recognition. A single misunderstanding today can destroy a man's reputation permanently. One conversation interpreted incorrectly can escalate into something he can't defend himself against. Men learn to protect themselves by withdrawing. The metaphorical minefield isn't dramatic. It's accurate. A man approaching now feels like a soldier trying to cross a field filled with invisible tripwires. If he steps wrong, everything detonates. If you ignore this truth, you walk into a battlefield thinking it's a park. Hostile rejections aren't rare. They're normalized, encouraged, and even filmed. Today's social environment rewards women for humiliating men publicly. A simple no became, "Why would I ever talk to someone like you?" Or, "Don't approach women in public." Rejection used to sting. Now it brands you. Men aren't fragile, they're strategic. Once a man experiences hostility he didn't earn, his brain learns the lesson instantly. The risk is not romantic loss, but social execution. And that's the subtle stake. One wrong approach can stain your social reputation in ways you can't erase. Men have discovered their value rises when silence becomes their leverage. This is the psychological twist men rarely confess. But listen closely. Every man who pulled back eventually realized something surprising. His life got better. His peace increased. His self-respect sharpened. His time no longer bled away chasing people who didn't appreciate the cost of his effort. And there was a quiet second, and everything clicked. Men didn't retreat because they lost courage. They retreated because they finally understood their worth. Ignore this and time will choose for you. Women say, "Just be confident," but demand confidence with zero margin for error. This contradiction is suffocating. Women want confidence, but react aggressively to men who demonstrate it at the wrong moment. Wrong place, wrong tone, wrong level, wrong everything. Men learned that confidence without perfect timing is socially punished, so they stopped rolling the dice. Rational behavior, not fear, killed the approach culture. If you ignore this dynamic, you keep playing a game where only the house wins, and just when you think it's over, it isn't. Because all of this leads to the real truth men avoid saying out loud. You stopped approaching not because you're scared, but because you're awake. That's the internal shift you feel but never articulate. And that shift comes with a microstake. If you ignore your own awakening, you collapse back into chasing people who don't even want to be caught. Men realized most women aren't looking for connection. They're looking for attention. This is the part you always hide. It's not that women don't want men. It's that many prefer the power of being wanted over the vulnerability of choosing. Approaching becomes fuel for their validation loop, not a path to connection. Men sense this intuitively. They stepped back. Not out of weakness, but out of refusal to be someone's free emotional currency. And if you ignore this, you walk straight into being used by someone who never planned to choose you. Approaching died the moment respect became a one-way requirement placed only on men. Men are expected to approach humbly, politely, respectfully. But women are not expected to reject with the same grace. That imbalance corrodes the entire dynamic. Men feel it long before they speak it. A tightening in the shoulders, a subtle calculation behind the eyes, the knowledge that they must manage her feelings, her fears, her potential interpretations, her comfort, while no one manages theirs. The silence changed before the truth did. Men withdrew not because they stopped caring, but because they became tired of carrying all the responsibility for an interaction both people supposedly wanted. Ignore this and you keep blaming yourself for a system that was never designed to protect you. Modern judgment is instant, unfiltered, and merciless. Men get categorized before they speak a single word. Every man feels this now. A woman scans you in 1 second and assigns your entire worth based on height, looks, vibe, status signals, clothes, social proof, and whether you match her internal fantasy. If you align, she loves your confidence. If you don't, your confidence becomes pressure, thirst, audacity. Men aren't dumb. They sense the binary immediately, and that's the delayed tension reveal. The entire approach is judged before it even starts. Men realize the dice were loaded, the dealer was smirking, and the house never loses. Ignore this and you'll keep gambling with odds that were never in your favor. Men learned they get labeled weak, whether they approach or they don't. So they choose silence. This is the psychological trap. If you approach too much, you're desperate. If you don't approach at all, you're scared. If you wait for the right moment, you're overthinking. If you approach the wrong woman, you're creepy. If you approach the right woman at the wrong time, you're inappropriate. Men realize there's no version of this game where they're allowed dignity without permission. So they did the one thing society never expected. They stopped playing. And that single act of refusal flipped the power dynamic. Men learned silence is a form of self-respect. Ignore this and you get trapped seeking approval from people who never planned to give it. Men realized women's standards kept rising, while women's reciprocity kept falling. This is what no one says publicly. Today's standards for men require excellence, physically, emotionally, financially, socially. Yet the standards women hold for themselves often remain untouched. This creates an invisible tension men sense instantly, the expectation mismatch. Men now ask a simple question before approaching. What do I gain from this interaction if she puts in zero effort? And the answer is usually, nothing but risk. The room held its breath, and that is when something inside men turned for good. Ignore this, and you keep putting yourself in a position where you must prove your worth while she contributes nothing to the moment. The dating market isn't a relationship ecosystem anymore, it's an attention economy built on male disposability. This is the brutal revelation men never articulate, but always feel. Apps aren't designed to create matches, they're designed to keep men swiping and women validated. Men aren't participants, they're fuel. Men aren't equals, they're the engine. And deep inside, every man knows this. Every swipe feels like a tiny reminder that he's replaceable. Every unmatched message feels like a quiet insult to his humanity. Every ghosted conversation feels like proof that connection is now a commodity, not a bond. And that's when the air shifted. Men realized approaching in person was becoming just as transactional as approaching online. Ignore this and you stay trapped in a marketplace where your effort is currency and her attention is the product. Men finally understand that approaching is interpreted through social status, not intention. This is the part men pretend not to care about, but they do. A millionaire approaches, charming. A handsome man approaches, flattering. A regular man approaches, inconvenient. A man she's not interested in approaches, harassment. These categories aren't verbal, they're instinctive. Women sort men like reflexes, and men feel the sting instantly. It's not rejection itself, it's the disrespect behind it. The identity-level dismissal, the subtle message. You shouldn't even have tried. If you ignore this truth, you'll keep approaching situations that were rigged against you before you opened your mouth. Men no longer approach because they discovered something more important than dating: peace. This is the revelation every man eventually reaches. Peace feels better than forced confidence. Peace feels better than performing masculinity to earn interest. Peace feels better than humiliation packaged as just try again. Men realize that not approaching frees their mind, protects their reputation, guards their time, and shields their self-respect. And the contradiction is this: men feel colder, but sharper. Their life improves, their stress drops, their goals rise, their clarity intensifies. They become stronger by subtracting stress. And that's the needle drop moment, the transformation no one talks about. If you ignore this, you keep fighting for validation that gives you nothing but emptiness. Men stopped approaching because they finally understood the truth. Scarcity made them desperate. Abundance makes them selective. The modern world gave men something dangerous: options. Not endless women, endless paths. Men discovered hobbies, fitness, solitude, money, freedom, travel, skills, ambition, discipline. Women used to be the centerpiece of a man's life. Now they're a possibility, not a purpose. And just when you think it's over, it isn't. Because here's the final reveal. Men didn't stop approaching women. Men started approaching themselves. Their own evolution, their own future, their own identity. Ignore this and time will choose a path for you that you never consciously accepted. And that's when the air shifted one last time. Because once a man understands the cost of approaching, he also understands the value of choosing himself. And if he ignores this insight, nothing in his life recalibrates. He becomes a ghost in his own story. So here's the masculine clarity you've been avoiding. You're not broken for stepping back. You're not scared. You're not weak. You're not giving up. You're evolving into a man who refuses to gamble his dignity in a world that treats male effort like a joke. This is the moment most men never notice. The moment they stop chasing approval and start protecting their identity. Notice how your chest tightened again. That's the part of you that recognizes this truth as your own. If even one part of this felt like your life, you and I are built from the same scars. You'll replay this part without meaning to. It always happens when truth hits the exact nerve you've been shielding. Say what hit you first, because everything you're feeling now ties back to the hook. Men didn't stop approaching because they lost courage. They stopped because they finally saw the cost. Picture yourself standing in that quiet room, finally choosing strength, not out of bitterness, not out of fear, but out of respect for the man you're becoming. This isn't a call to action. It's a nod, one man to another, an acknowledgement that you saw the world clearly and chose to walk forward anyway. And the micro-stake is simple. Avoid this insight, and the world will keep writing your story for you. Accept it, and you finally take the pen back into your hands.